I feel that the housing process that Marist chooses to use, the priority point system, is better than the random lottery system at most other colleges, mainly due to the fact that it allows you to earn the housing that you want. For example, you can work hard at getting your grades up, keeping your room in condition, making sure you stay out of trouble, and making sure you have involvement in clubs, just so you can get housing, and the preferred housing that you want. At other schools, it's just a random lottery. Therefore, students who might not be as involved can get the best housing, and students who are really involved might get lesser housing than them. Therefore, the priority point system just appears to be a lot more fair than other schools, and you really have to work for the housing you want, and it's not just given to you.
One of the good things about housing at Marist is as a sophomore, you're able to choose whether or not to continue living in a dorm or move on to a townhouse, which is really cool. It has the obvious benefits of, not having a security guard. That sort of freedom comes along with living in a townhouse. But you also have the freedom as current freshman becoming a sophomore to be able to choose on housing day whether or not you want to continue living in a dorm setting, because you have the option of living in a dorm with 6 people, a townhouse with like 10 people, or another one with another townhouse that has 6 people, which is awesome. So you have all that different variety, basically, of amount of people you can live with, and you also get to choose to live with your friends. I mean, who wouldn't want to do that?
So I was elected our group leader. The whole housing selection process. Basically, it was my job to go down to the McCann Center and pick our housing for next year. So I went down and I saw all the available rooms that were assigned for next year, and I saw X's through the ones that were taken. And basically, it was just a really organized process. It was a little intimidating at first, but when we finally went up to pick our group, the people were very informative and helpful, and I could clearly see what houses were taken and what houses weren't, so it made the whole thing really easy going into it. I already knew what house we were going to get, and overall I would just say it was a great process.
I really think that Marist's housing system is flawed in a couple ways. First of all, I think it's ridiculous that my 6 roommates and I don't have housing right now, and that's largely because there are so many more girls than guys. Our priority point average was 28, and for a group of girls, that won't get you housing. When a group of guys with the same priority point average, they will get housing.
Yeah, well, the system might not be perfect, but it is important to remember that as it is right now, everybody is guaranteed housing as a sophomore. So nobody's going to end up without housing. You might not end up living with the people that you want to live with, but that just gives people more incentive to stay involved on campus, and that's where the priority points come in, because it gives people a big incentive to stay involved and to get good grades, while at the same time being able to, at the end of the year and following as the semesters go, live with their friends and stay with the groups that they want to stay with.
Yeah, I think there's a few problems with the Marist housing system. Like, I think that current system is really cutthroat because you have to sometimes you have to choose, like, if between friends and better housing. Like if one of your friends has really low priority points, you have to choose between like living with your friend or getting better housing, because that one person's priority points could bring your group down so much. And so I've seen like like a lot of friendships can get messed up because people aren't really sure what to do. And I know that like down at housing, like people are crying because like they end up in really bad housing, while people who they thought were their friends end up in really, really good housing.
Yeah, there are problems with that current system, because especially if one person in a certain housing group might have less priority points than the rest of the group, then that raises the question of whether or not they need to separate from that person in order to get better housing. And while this is oftentimes stressful, the RAs really encourage students to really plan ahead and to talk it out with each of their friends, so that a situation like this doesn't arise. And I know that they have counselors down at the housing office for just this situation.